Hello everyone, my name is Stephen Monkey Mason and I am joined once again finally for the first time since March with Paul Ray.
Hello there.
And the one and only Carl McSorley. This is the first podcast we've done since March, so hello Carl.
Rich.
We've done a podcast
We did one the other day.
We did one for Dream Little Dream.
We did one the other day.
Yeah. Well, Paul Ray was asleep. So today we're doing Judge Dredd from the mid-90s, and I'm about to press play on 3, 2, 1, boop. There we go, Hollywood Pictures. To me, this film, right, just reminds me of that golden era for me personally, going to the pictures where you would love a quad poster. You'd be more happy to see the fucking quads. Like, it was the era of, like, Batman Forever, Time Cop, Speed, Dumb and Dumber, but when they're sitting on the wet painting bench, and I just remember seeing Stallone in Judge Dredd's helmet. That was my first encounter of this.
I don't know about you. I was into comic books a little bit, but this one it wasn't like your mainstream one. I didn't feel like this one was like the one that would pop up as much. It was all about superheroes and stuff like this. It was more like the adult kind of graphic novel, which I didn't really get into. So when I watched it for the first time, it was very much a new kind of.
This is James Earl Jones here, isn't it?
Yeah.
His voice.
I believe so. I'll be honest with you, I've got a mute guys, so I'm going subtitle this time round.
No, you're right, it was 2000 AD. There's Future Shock, what Arrow Entertainment brought out, or Arrow Video, or whatever, did a really good documentary about that, because Action Comics failed, and it got banned from the shelves in sort of 2000 AD, and it was all like stories like Rogue Trooper and all that kind of Dredd, and Dredd was like a fucking punk, wasn't he? Like a cyberpunk. And it was like kind of like a lot of people used it with Britain and went off to be in America. But, yeah. Can you hear Hyro over Teddy Bear?
Is that what that was?
Aye.
Oh, she never made an appearance in the last one.
No, she made
I went to see this in Odeon in America Center before it moved.
Yeah, same here,
3
mate. Same
times in a
here.
row.
Not 3 times, like.
Absolutely.
What, the UCI?
Oh, must have been, yeah. Well, I can't remember.
It was the UCI, and then it moved to the Odeon.
No, it was one of them ones. I love this film, mostly at the pictures, and the score is absolutely amazing.
Really
I love the
good,
score
actually,
so much. I love the Sylvester again, you can tell. It's got little elements of Back to the Future and Predator in it.
This, yeah, I mean, but again, like, I mean, the version I've got's the widescreen where, you know, the artwork, they've never really had a definitive artwork for Judge Dredd, I don't think. The VHS was quite quirky with like Stallone and the city underneath him, but like this widescreen's so fucking wide. It's like, but like when you see it in Future Shock, it looks lush in Future Shock when they reference the movie. Although they fucking hate it. But like, this just screams 90s to me. It screams Super Mario Brothers, Highlander 2. You know, definitely inspired by Blade Runner. You know what I mean?
I wish it's got it's got like a Total Recall kind of vibe to it as well, like, so you can all imagine it being the same kind of universe.
I think it looks pretty good, the special effects for what being 1985 or what, 96.
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, it's
there he is.
But again, like Rob Schneider, obviously, Stallone and him just worked recently on Demolition Man together. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I would totally buy this score.
The carrot.
The creator of it wasn't very happy, like, because he sat for like his name doesn't appear in the end credits till right near the end, because he had nothing really to do with the movie, and of course he gets that whole Hollywood treatment. Because like they struggled, didn't they? Because Schwarzenegger didn't want, like, refused on it, because obviously it's all about the helmet. But when Stallone was about to pass, they ended up taking the helmet off. Do you know what I mean? So it's about the helmet.
Yeah. I think you can get away with it today, though. I mean, obviously, they still can't truly do it, though. If we go on something a little bit more recent, you've got, like, The Mandalorian, which, of course, one of the biggest, like, parts of that law is that the Mandalorians never take the helmet off. And even then, they kind of cheated a little bit and had a little scene where he did take the helmet off, where, like, in this era, it's all about your star. It's all about your main guy. So it would be. I couldn't imagine it really working the way that the remake does it. Because I mean, like I say, who's going to sign on to a film where you're not going to know who it is under the helmet? I mean, you kind of know who it is, but you know what I mean. It's like you want that person's face all over Hollywood, don't you? So
Stallone was shit hot in the night. I mean, Stallone started making quite a lot of movies in the mid-90s when he was away from his franchises. It's sort of like, I mean, don't get us wrong, he would have done this thinking this could be a franchise because of how hyped it was. But like stuff like The Specialist and Assassins and, you know, like I remember heavily trailered back in the day, The Specialist, you know, especially on the Warner Brothers label when you used to have all the yellow font at the bottom of the trailers. And The Specialist was so all advertised, and then obviously this came along as well.
yeah.
No, and he's another guy as well. He's the guy who got fired from Aliens, wasn't he? He was in plays Raiden in Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I don't know.
The guy who's got a hold of Rob Schneider now is the guy who originally played Hicks. He got fired from the film.
Right.
He's called James somebody.
Man.
You. So cheesy, this film. But then, obviously, if you think about it, 2000 AD was a proper, like they call it, say, like adult, you know, comic, and then they knocked it down to like a PG, to a PG film, or 12, or is it 15? 12 now, is it, this film?
I've got a 15 on the DVD, like.
Aye. But and the DVD has always suffered from the widescreen. It was never formatted for newer TVs and stuff like that, so you're watching it in letterbox and it's still in 4.3. I always remember that. But obviously the Blu-ray version from the States, and obviously I ordered the German one a few years ago. Perfect quality, man. They just never got a Blu-ray release over here, did it?
No, I mean it's one of those. It's like Dick Tracy. It's like again at the same time, Street Fighter, for some reason they get a very random short release on Steelbook, like they did, and then it's years later. I mean, Dick Tracy still hasn't come out. I mean, Street Fighter has, but like they seem to just I mean, that's what Z to the I is bad for. Like slapping it in a steel tin and selling it. Do you know what I mean? Where it's not given its treatment for the next generation.
I gotta say, I love the suits, like the armored suits in this. They're so cool.
Well, this always reminded me about kind of. I mean, I don't know if it worked now, but like, I don't know if you've ever read any of them, but there's a couple of decent Terminator comics, and they were very much like this kind of futuristic setting. I always wish that they'd do something like that for Terminator, and like back after T2. It would have been nice to see, instead of going further into the future, because I think T2 kind of finalises everything quite nicely, but it would have been nice to like go back to actually, well, technically the future, but almost the Carl Reese days, but obviously do it properly.
Terminator's a messy franchise, that's for sure.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, Hollywood Pictures, the reason why is because it's owned by Disney. Same as Touchstone. That's
Everything is owned by Disney, though.
Yeah, this was like 1990s. It was owned by Disney. That's, you know, like their set-off kind of thing. But yeah, it's Disney now. Supposedly on Disney Plus.
Well, this is probably the rights have probably relapsed back to 2000 AD, because like they go a lot into it in that Future Shock documentary. There's a lot of fan and passion, and it shows you brilliantly how like the rise of this comic and how it's been nicely preserved. But obviously Warner Brothers are heavily involved in it as well, so that might have something to do with it, because Judge Dredd has appeared in the Batman comics as well.
Yeah.
Yo, Judge Tracy, you're 4.2 miles away. You are. I love it. I said the score is really great for this film. Like,
now it's filmed all in Britain, wasn't it?
yeah, because it was always pouring down, wasn't it, on set?
Trailer shot there. Boom. Double whammy. Rapid fire.
But for like I said, for the sets and the locations and the filming of it, I love this film. It does feel like a proper comic book film to me. The bit where he just flies like through the ceiling.
And lands on her feet like fucking proper.
Yep. Now these days, be like an Iron Man pose, wouldn't it?
Aye, fucking fist to the floor.
To the floor, like Black Widow.
Another film as well at the time, Fifth Element, part of that era of like the films where, like going back to Waterworld, just to go for a funny laugh, I actually watched Waterworld, the extended cut, pissed the other night. And I tell you what, I can't wait to do this podcast. Look at that fucking ocean. And I think I did the podcast on my own to nobody. I was like, oh, this will be Wodorowski. I'm just trying to take it all in. But like that's again that era of them films where you would go to the pictures, see a quad, and that would be it. You'd be like, I haven't even fucking seen the trailer, but like I know who Stallone is, and I know who Judge Dredd is. This will be fucking awesome, and that's what you would always go on about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like I remember being introduced to Judge Dredd by my friend Kevin, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he used to go on about like Judge Dredd this, and it needs to be super violent, and I was like, all right, I'll stop reading the Beano, calm down, and you know, like in concert, if anyone's from the concert area, like in the old bus station, there used to be like this old guy who just reminded you of the guy from the Gremlins, and he used to be like situated inside the bus stand for all comic books, and then moved around by titles. And you know, you go in like 2000 AD, because it was printed like it wasn't printed in color. A lot of the early ones, although have really good artwork and then all black and white inside. I remember him having fucking hundreds and hundreds of it. I mean, it was really popular, but I don't remember seeing it in like the newsstands as a kid. Maybe as I wasn't looking in the adult side of it, but you know what I mean. I don't remember seeing it brand new. I've seen it now since brand new on the shelves, but at that time I didn't.
Yeah. Just having a quick look here, and it's been an interesting call. Like, so obviously, apparently, Joe Pesci turned down the role of Fergie, according to Rob Schneider, anyway.
He would have been, like Joe Pesci was trying to get. I mean, Joe Pesci is just an amazing actor, because you can look at him in Home Alone or in Lethal Weapon and laugh your head off at him, and then you can be generally scared of him in like Casino and Goodfellas. Like, he's a fucking tremendous actor. Diane Lane as well. She was quite on the rise of Hollywood. She suddenly like fell off the blip now, hasn't she? She was like at one point she just seemed to be in everything. She was in like was it Murder at 1600? It was Wesley Snipes. She's went on to do quite erotic stuff, but then done some more serious stuff. But she seemed to, this is definitely a high point.
Yeah, Chris, I don't know what is she still working? Do we know?
Is she not in
She
one?
was in the Justice League, Martha Kent, apparently.
Where she's Superman.
Oh, of course she would have been, yeah. Superman's mom.
But I think she picked up a lot of the roles Sandra Bullock turned down, because this is the time where there's a shift in actress, because Sandra Bullock came along in Demolition Man and she got the role. But I mean, look at that build. Who designs that building? How the fuck can you support two wings like that mass steel? Anyway, yeah, Sandra Bullock just became a megastar as well, and like obviously Speed and that, and then Diane Lane came along at the same time to take a lot of these roles.
Yeah.
Some of the visual stuff in
well,
this
you can
film
imagine a lot of them would have been all like kind of connected, you know, like, oh, we've got this person, but if we don't have this person, we'll go into this one, and vice versa. So I'd imagine there'd been quite a short list for most of these films.
That woman there, is she the mum in The Frighteners? Fucking sinister.
I think you're a little ahead of me, mate.
Max Von. See, Max Von as well. I mean, he's totally like a bit of a chameleon as well, because like you go, oh fucking hell, that's Ming. Do you know what I mean? It's Ming.
Yeah.
I got it's him from The Exorcist.
Huh? Nah, I think Ming.
Or Force Awakens.
So when I see it, I don't think this. I think one of the things what this film suffers for, right? Now the bad guy, the German guy who's in Beerfest, who's shouting on, he wants to be the commander. I think this film suffers a lack of a famous bad guy. I don't think the guy who's in it, who plays Rigo, is much of the threat. Do you know what I mean?
It doesn't even look. It's supposed to be his like Stallone's twin. Sorry, spoilers. Judge Dredd's twin. Doesn't look nothing like him.
This reminds me here as well, a bit of a Predator 2 vibe going on there, and the RoboCop, you know what I mean? It's similar kind of anarchy reporting and stuff like that.
Well, I reckon a lot of RoboCop was very much inspired by this, so...
Yeah, you're right. Like the suit. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. Well, that was it, wasn't it? Because, like, there's a lot of, well, not lawsuits, but a lot of, like, hang on a minute. There's a lot of lines and stuff ripped from the 2000 AD in the RoboCop movie, do you know what I mean? And they bring that up in Future Shock. But again, it's just kind of like...
Dead or Alive?
Oh, Dead or Alive.
That one, isn't it?
Yeah, stuff like that. But it's kind of like... I mean, as well, let's talk about Stallone taking the helmet off here. As a kid to me, Stallone looks like he's got Bell palsy in this. There's something not, like, right with his face. His left side.
If you paid someone $20 million, yeah, you wouldn't have the mask off, wouldn't you? Because it's a star.
Well, this is what I said earlier. It's just like it's part of like your contract. It's part of your deal. You know, I mean, especially in the 90s, you want to be known for being in the film. You don't want to like be the guy behind the helmet or behind the mask. You want to be able to say that was me. Whereas now it's different. Now it's different. Even now, look at the way, like, when the camera turned around when he took the helmet off, you know, they made it a big deal. And obviously, if you really listen carefully, you'll actually hear like 1,000 nerds just screaming pain. Because apparently this did not go down well.
I mean, it's kind of like, it's like, again, it's a product of the product. I mean, in the 90s they did try, but there was a lot of things going on at that time, and like, to me personally, it's the golden era of the pictures, like going to see them quads again, so I was hyped as fuck for this, but like, if you don't, like, this is a perfect example, if you don't know much about the origin story, I think what you take away from this is, you get a bit of like, what Mega City is, and like who Dredd is, but this to me feels like a sequel story. You know what I mean? After like Dredd's been the rise of Dredd, it sort of like brings you into almost like his downfall. You don't feel enough for his familiarship, or it's not like, oh fucking hell, Judge Dredd's got a brother. Do you know what I mean? But again, this is obviously
there's sympathy going on, is it?
Yeah, because like I remember there was a video game, because isn't there like an alternative Dredd where it's like a creature?
With comics, most definitely.
Well, because there's been a few video games, and I still remember a video game, a first-person shooter, where it was kind of like there's another Dredd, but like it's like a creature and stuff.
Oh, what was it called? It was a Dark Judge, wasn't he?
Yeah, something like that.
What was it called? Oh my god, what's it called? A Dark Justice or something? I can't remember. I said I've only really known about the films more than anything else. Rico does not look anything like Dredd.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't. I mean, they don't have to be like. I know that they're going for the bit of a generic kind of thing, but it's kind of like I couldn't tell you that act like being in like another film. I don't like think of a famous film that he's in.
He's been in a few, but I don't even recognise him. Like you said, yeah. Then they say you had Robert Patrick in there, or yeah, from Terminator 2, or from Die Hard 2, or anything with twos then.
But this is it though, like we're talking about like when you're saying going back to cinema and, you know, experiencing these for like on a different level, you know, it's a completely different world now, isn't it? So it's like, whereas now you can watch this and take it for exactly what it is. It's an action film.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some great effects. It's got some sort of story going on. But, you know, even like a lot of the Die Hard fans back in the day, most cinema goers were just going for that minimal experience. And of course, now it's like, you know, whatever film comes out, I guarantee you, if you go on YouTube, especially like Marvel films and stuff like that these days, is that I guarantee you on YouTube there will be a video like 33 Easter eggs that you may have missed. It's like people are really delving too deeply into films now. Whereas there's a level where I do love an Easter egg. I do love a continuity. That's not a word. It's kind of, I love the detail. But the difference is, I can also just watch a film for what it is. It doesn't have to be, you know, a blockbuster every single time. But this film, I think it was hitting that rise where I don't think the studio probably assumed how many like Dredd fans were probably out there. You know, they probably were a little bit unknown. Remember, comic books weren't always that cool to read, so they probably just look at it as a, you know, oh, we're going to take this already made franchise and make a little action film out of it, not realising how many people would have been like pissed off by the simple fact that he took the helmet off, or that it didn't quite look the way the comics did, or wasn't as rated R as it could have been. So I think like it is one of those times where it's a little bit more forgiving, but they were very naive back in the 90s, where they just took properties and just went with it, hoping that people would just enjoy it.
I mean, I like this film as well because at the time I fucking loved Demolition Man. So like I was like, oh, whatever Stallone brings out next, you know what I mean? So when again looking at that to this, but
yeah,
it's kind of like it looks like the color. I love the color. Even watching it on this DVD, it's got like, because wasn't Steve Norrington involved in this? Who went on to make Blade?
I have no
Chris
idea.
Norrington.
Man, I don't have that.
It's like, I'm sure the guy who's obviously quit directing now after Illegal Extraordinary Gentleman, I'm sure he is involved in the robot and went on to direct Blade.
Right. Directed Blade. I'll do some
research.
there for you.
I never realised how blue Stallone's eyes were. They're like fucking headlights. Bing.
Oh yeah, he's been proper lighted up, like, isn't he? Like I said, I love the costumes and I love the effects. It just feels like a comic book movie more than, like, say, Dredd 2013, 2012. I can't remember when everyone came out. The Carl Urban one.
They're still trying to pursue TV series that, aren't they?
Yeah, just the rights again, isn't it? I'm just reading here, Judge Dredd Wikipedia. This film is often considered to be one of Stallone's worst films. Shit, man, it's awesome.
Sure, man. I mean, I watched Nighthawks a few weeks ago, and I was like, "What the fuck?" Because there's a few Stallone
Throw Mum off the train.
Sorry.
Throw Mum off the train. That's one of the worst ones.
He isn't in Throw Mama Off the Train. Stop on my mum and shoot.
Stop Mum. That's it. Yeah.
Stop on Mama and shoot.
Use one of them ones.
But I love that though. I love that whole thing, right? Because he only took the job because Arnold Schwarzenegger tricked him into saying that he was really interested in doing it, even though he had no interest in doing it. But then because they were having their rivalry at the time, Stallone was like, I'll do it. And he even admitted to his day, it's an awful film, but he admitted that he got, like, Schwarzenegger got the better of him and just made him think that it was going to be a bigger film than it was. And so even when I watch it, I still think and go, yeah, terrible, but time up here.
Have you seen the lighting on Stallone's face in the locker scene? It's so bright on his eyes. Have you seen it?
I don't think I can say like he's got blue as fuck eyes, like, any. He's very slim in this as well. He's not as like beefed up. He's very toned down in this, I think.
Because he's Rocky 4, I think, isn't he? Just more ripped.
I mean, how does he know that guy's there? Fucking his see-through body bags. Quite a startling image, that, though.
You're a little bit ahead of me.
Yeah, I'm still in the locker room.
He's just walking away.
Yeah, I paused it for 2 seconds then. I'm the host, you fuckers.
Yeah, now I'm on body bags.
Let us know when you see the girl with a fucking red whip in the city.
What?
Back to the street scene after the body scene.
You're way ahead of us.
Nah.
Body just stood up and shot him.
Right, after that.
Rigo's just popped out. Now we're here. Now on it. Now I'm on a Blade Runner bit now.
Total Blade Runner.
Yeah.
It's definitely filmed in England. It's pouring down.
Well, it'll be a set.
They've been outside.
Well, I think it'll be an interesting approach, but the budget of this film was actually 19 million, so it's quite hefty. But what do we think it made gross worldwide?
200 million.
Can I just say?
How many?
Can I just say it's? Go ahead.
200 million.
What did you say, Mason? 200 million?
Uh-huh.
Fucking hell. Are you sure?
What was the budget?
You want to go there? Sorry?
What was the budget?
Budget 90 million.
19.
90. 90.
I would say 160.
Nah, came in at 113 and a half. So it's just about made money, but then even then that's not accounting for advertisement, so I don't even know if it did technically make money, but...
I mean, it's not released on any kind of like next generation format as well, so that's another thing where if something's not available, it's not going to fucking make money. Do you know what I mean?
Well, strangely enough, I googled this for research of obviously watching the film, but today it did actually come up on Google that this is on UK Netflix, which I then double checked. It is not on UK Netflix. In fact, I can't see it on any streaming service. Unless you can get it on Amazon, but you got to pay a tenner for it.
It'll be on Disney Plus soon.
Probably.
Oh.
Everything has Disney.
This is a pretty awesome robot, like, because it's there. Do you know what I mean?
Honestly, like that's again, the main effects are pretty decent, like very physical.
The practicals, yeah.
That's the word, not physical, practical.
But it's because it's there, though. You know what I mean? Your body believes it more. Like it's not like he's like reacting to nothing. I mean, even when it steps up, it's all.
I noticed the Santa Claus is in the back more than anything else. Can I just say in the future, there's no widescreen TVs or flat screen TVs. It's all proper CRTs when I was in the city before.
Aye.
So it's not that future.
Well, our alternative future is very different to what Cinema Future has definitely promised us, isn't it?
Well, that's it. It's was very fast, but we're very backwards on a lot of things. Like,
No, Outbreak was right. We're on about it.
But when you think of society today, though, it's actually kind of a blessing. Can you really imagine what the world would be like in real life with fucking flying cars? It'll be a fucking nightmare.
the insurances would be all over the place. Like,
yeah, you couldn't afford it.
I said people kind of driving the roads properly anyway.
And some people still hit the fence even though it's like clearly there.
I mean, I love how this guy's got CCTV in his living room. You know what I mean? It's a good job he's not up to anything dodgy. I'll have a wank.
The thing is, it's one of those webcams that you have during the day. That means you can keep an eye on things, so it's actually right.
There's some. I mean, that is a pretty neat design. Like,
That's Mason trying to park his car.
I mean, trying to park my car.
Did you fix your fence?
Look, I clipped.
Well, you clipped it enough to get your bumper taken off, so you know.
No, right. The thing is, the passage up to my house, right, bottoms out all the time in my car. So I'm going to start blaming the
There it
council.
is. Bottoms out.
I tell you what, them fucking helmets and them visors must have been a bitch for the film crew, mind. Because this is pre-CGI.
I can. In Diane Lane's head, I can see the crew.
I knew you would say that. I mean, look at this guy. He's psychotic. It's the middle of the day. It's a busy street, and like all of a sudden, everyone disappears and blow the fuck up with his car. It's like, what kind of lore is
And
that?
he's wearing spandex and stuff. I'm not surprised. I knew you would shoot it. Yeah.
I notice how this doesn't tackle anyone's kind of phones in it. They haven't bothered with that, have they?
No.
Some big ass sets, mind. I mean, look at the colour in this morgue. It almost looks like a morgue. It's not like, but
You're still ahead again. He's just been nicked.
Now I'm in the prison cell.
I'm just a little bit ahead of you. I just
Damn DVD.
Max Vaughn was also cast as the bad guy in Minority Report, wasn't he, as well?
You know what it is? I've only ever seen the first 5 minutes of that film.
I don't really. It's got. I mean, I don't like Tom Cruise, but it's more like it's not too bad once it gets rocking and rolling. Like, but
Well, someone in Birmingham didn't like Tom Cruise either, did it? Nicked his car.
To the surprises, to be honest, like.
do you really think they pulled it's Alan Shearer's car? Do you think they really stole it? Went fucking hell, we're in Tom Cruise's car. Do you think they would have just nicked it for the fucking car?
Ah, they'll be sitting there, they'll be halfway up the road going, hey mate, I think this belonged to someone else.
CD's play a Top Gun theme, yeah, definitely.
Boot it up. Welcome, Maverick.
Was that supposed to be released earlier? That one being delayed again? I thought the new Top Gun should have been out by now, like.
Probably
It
because
should have been.
it's probably going to go down to when he's available for the press tour.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be next year, yeah, like.
Yeah? Nah.
Oh, yeah, I do, I really do.
I'm sick of people. When's the new Maverick film out? What? Maverick 2 as in Mel Gibson? No, Maverick. Oh, Top Gun. There is a film called Maverick.
Well, that's what it's called. Maverick.
I know, but
For the halls of justice.
A Top Gun story.
can you imagine sitting there for your whole having to stand your whole trial? You'd be like, fucking hell, let us sit down. Aye, she's definitely the man from The Frighteners, like.
I tell you what, that needs to be put on the list, I think. I think we need to do The Frighteners.
So you're telling me I've got to take it out of me glass fucking display, have I?
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, we've only got a week. Me and Paul have got a week off. So I'm definitely up. I mean, I really want to do Waterworld in possibly two parts, or we need to start the Jaws saga.
Well, I'm just not going to make a comment because I'm going to out you both online and say that it's the same bloody thing every time. What do you want to do?
It is.
Oh, why don't we do this film? I knew we were
Evil Dead.
So, what do you want to do then? I said, well, I'm pretty sure I said.
I'm still waiting for Evil Dead from last year.
I've bought the Evil Dead since I've bought and watched them. I'm down with that.
Anyway, Judge Dredd, let's get back to Judge Dredd. Let's get to our business.
Let's get this intervention out of the way.
I'm sure people don't hear about our businesses.
That's what they tune in for, Paul. What do you think? Do you think they're actually watching the film? It's our entertainment that it brings them back for.
Bloody hell, I'm supposed to listen this far.
Well, based on the comments, I think they love us sometimes.
Well, mostly now I turn the comments off. I just can't be asked of some of the fucking comments. Especially that guy who wanted a refund for his data, thinking that he was watching the whole film free. And he went on this massive rant and went, it says it's a podcast. And I was like, you're watching it, waiting for the film to start. I'm like, I want a refund for my data I used. I was like, it's not a fucking film.
You know what it is? It's so funny because he seemed the type who would have watched like 90% of it and going, yep, this film's not actually the film.
I mean, I often stick on a podcast when I'm doing housework, and like a really old one, which I totally don't remember. And some of the stuff has me fucking howling, and that's what it's about. Do you know what I mean? It's like finding that community you share. Because, like, I mean, the one with me and Carl the other day, Dream a Little Dream, I had a blast doing that, because that was a proper. It was. I mean, don't get us wrong, Paul. You were meant to be there, but like, no, I had a total blast redoing that. Like, it was really good. It's a lie.
I'm gonna say like it's a fucking shit film, but it's one of those films you can laugh at while you're watching it. So you know what I mean.
I mean, you don't tend
Did you ever finish it?
A what?
Did you ever finish it?
Nah.
Did you not?
Nah.
Oh, you got to manage to put a spoiler at the end. Got to like cliffhanger.
I am the law. I don't break a law.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
Anyway, that computer I like to talk to is Alexa, if you think about it.
Who's Alexa?
Amazon's Alexa.
The thing is, there's the glitch in the system, right? You've got this computer Alexa, right? Where was Judge Dredd while that murder was happening? Surely he was doing something that they would have went, he was there as well, so maybe it wasn't him.
Yeah.
It's
But I'll be the first to say, boys, it's just a film.
Yes! It's just a movie.
Yeah, but obviously it's the DNA on the gun stuff. That's where they got him.
Well, I think because he couldn't be the only one to pull it, can he?
That's it.
I tell you what, though, this film does hold up really nicely, like visual.
Oh yeah, it's visually great. I mean, obviously it's been filmed in the whole ratio of the widescreen. I don't think it would have looked too amazing on VHS, like.
No, definitely not.
What's widescreen on the DVD box like?
I'll
Is
have
it
a look.
1.85?
Yeah.
Was it 16.9? Was it 2.351?
2351.
Yeah, so basically, in the early 90s, yeah, you know those widescreen TVs, the big massive tubey ones with widescreen TVs, yeah, and you had your DVD player, they would kind of like sync up with each other kind of thing. So on your DVD player you would set to 16.9, so when you played it, the letterbox would actually get a bit bigger. That's why we're watching it now. It's not really designed for TVs now, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, going back when I seen some the clips they use in the Future Shock documentary, it looked great because obviously the Future Shock's on Arrow, which is surprising. I mean, Arrow has been digging out a few more documentaries, but it just seemed great, that one, eh?
Yeah, the digital HD version, wink wink, I've got is pretty good. His eyes are even bluer. Bluer.
I watched 3 films yesterday. I watched Baby's Day Out, followed by Rat Race, then Alpha Dog.
I started watching Rat Race a few weeks ago. I turned it off.
It has not aged well at all. It's a race.
I liked it. I thought it was alright. It was one of those like early stages where it was really like a big cat, but like they weren't massively big. Like they were big enough just to be like kind of big, but like Mr. Bean, obviously we know how big he is, but in a Hollywood film, he's not going to turn that many heads. Whereas then you got Whoopi Goldberg, she was a strange choice, but yeah, I liked it. Baby Dale though, that's a classic. Haven't seen that one for a long time.
Boo boo. I wonder if them twins sue Baby's Day Out for like using them as kids.
No way.
The show was pretty me who did the special the stunts and stuff.
Oh, you know what I did? I think of Baby's Day Out, but I'm thinking of another one. What was that? It was. This is horrible when you can't think of a film and you're being recorded. I think of Macaulay Culkin. Where he'd,
Getting Even with Dad.
Getting Even with Dad, that's the one. I always think of those two films like almost together. That's a classic one as well.
I mean, it's a pretty bad like thing. This, right? You got to go out there and walk after you've served. So, like, where's the retirement? Do you know what I mean? It's like it's a pretty brutal. Like, again, this is some of that. If this was in a sequel, do you know what I mean? But he's meant to walk out there, and so miraculously turns up to see Judge Dredd later on in this vast wasteland.
Yeah.
He's going there now. To me, like.
A film that's unofficially the first 2000 AD film is Hardwire. Richard Stanley drew a lot of inspiration, being a British filmmaker. There you go, some random slow motion of Stallone walking along.
You're so ahead of us.
No, I'm on the slow motion walk now.
What?
I managed to try and catch up.
Oh. I'm like the way the door opens and it's like Dune.
Well, you're only like 5 seconds behind me.
I think all the guys had to turn away for visors on because it's so bright, even though they've got visors on.
And they've got their visors on.
So basically, you become a judge, you work your way up, you get retirement, you have to go out there and give extremely low to the lowness.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to slow up it now.
Mason, is that filmed in concert?
What's that?
The Wastelands.
Shut up. Fucking prick.
Oh, how are you?
Rowan Atkinson, I can
Very
see
good.
Rowan
Just
Atkinson's
as bad
family
as
house from my house, I have you know.
Who?
Rowan Atkinson, I can see his family house from my window.
Wasn't it Edinburgh? Wasn't he like a bit further out?
No, I can see his house, Allensford.
No,
I can also see Edmund, but I can see loads from my window, man. Am I right, creep?
I know, that's because you're a pervert.
Wow.
A nosy neighbour. Not many people know it, but I am a nosy neighbour.
Again, do you not think no one would notice that fucking robot walking in?
Nah, he's camouflage, man. When he's like all on the floor, he just looks like a heap of metal.
The total.
That's what I quite like about the design.
That was a total demolition man. That though, illuminate. What are you doing in my seat?
Yes.
Illuminate. It's exactly the same thing.
I'm with the wishes in the locker, going through his stuff. I'm going to have to fast forward it, aren't I?
Well, he's just having a friendly chat with his robot man.
Yeah.
Let us know when Rico pops on, when he's in the chair.
He's already in the chair.
I can see you in chair.
No, I mean, I'm a little bit behind it. I'm not going to mess on because I'll just muck it up.
The robot looks class. Like Rico's just kicking off now. He's coming
Yeah.
down shouting.
Nah, like I said, I couldn't remember the robot looking as good as it looks like, but that's definitely a highlight for the film.
That actor as well, he's in quite a lot, but he also there's another actor he's in Johnny Mnemonic. Johnny. He's got a German name, obviously. I think them two get a bit crossed up which one's which, because he's the other guy. He's obviously in stuff like John Carpenter's Cigarette Burns and stuff like that. Yeah, I think the film suffers from not having a big actor as the villain.
Well, it's 95, who are you picking? Who would you put as
Wesley
first?
Snipes.
Well, no, it's just too Demolition Man.
And then get Sandra Bullock on also.
You just want to watch Demolition Man, don't you?
I love Demolition Man. I have the chaos.
He's a little bit skinnier, but at the time he looked similar. Charlie Sheen.
Right,
Fucking no, he was doing action films at that time. Was it Shadow Conspiracy?
Hot Shots.
Terminal Velocity. He was reaching out to try and do
Hot
that.
Shots.
I know, Hot Shots. But I was just thinking of I'm going, if you were going to cast and go right, they've got to come from some kind of the same gene pool. Charlie Sheen and Stallone have jet black hair, that kind of thing. You could have went for that.
yeah, true. Yeah, I'm just going through some.
I love how, like, Rob Schneider. I always get those two mixed up. One's in Jaws and the one's.
He's really funny, him, because I've watched his stand-up, and his daughter's really famous now, isn't it? Carole King. She's a singer. But obviously, he fell out with Adam Sandler for a while, but, like, in his own right, he was more famous than before Adam Sandler was famous, but then became sort of just like the running joke that he'd be in Adam Sandler's films when he's in his own right. He's quite good.
I think we're losing Paul. It says reconnecting.
Hiya, Paul.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. Paul Ray's returned. You alright, Paul? Hello? Carl?
Hello?
Hiya.
He's connected here.
How's
He's connected on
it?
my side, but
Hello?
Hiya, you alright?
Yeah, fine, yeah, you just disappeared for a little bit.
Right, so the other night when I was watching this, I noticed somebody. I went, "Fuck my life! I didn't know they were in that." One of the cannibals is quite famous now.
Was it Walking Dead?
No, the cannibal with the bazooka who takes out the spacecraft. He's really famous.
Yeah, what's he off now? What's he off?
He's from Trainspotting. It's the other Ewan.
He's Spud. No.
Spud, aye, it's Spud.
Oh, no way.
It is?
It's not.
It is?
Right, we're gonna like solve this problem by just going on the IMDb, and I'll give you the second.
No, because I'm sure one of the cannibals is off Morphin Dead or something like that.
No, the cannibal with the lip.
There is, I think the older bloke. I think he's called Hershey or something like that.
Junior. He plays Junior. Because I had to have a look.
No, he was. Nah.
He is. It's filmed in England.
It did look like
bad. It's not bad.
It is, man.
It is, aye. You and Bremner, aye.
It is.
You and Bremner, Junior Angel. Aye, it is.
Are you okay there, Paul?
Phone's disconnected again.
Wait, we can hear you. You're fine.
Oh, you only missed out the fact that you were wrong, that it actually was you and Bremner.
Was I thinking of someone else for?
But no, I think you are right. One of them, I'm just trying to figure out where he is. One of them, the one in the middle before, he's actually the older bloke in The Walking Dead.
No, I'm wrong. Doesn't matter. I'm wrong. I know now.
Calm down, Paul.
I know sweet F.O.
What are you on about? I'm telling you, I think you're right. I'm just trying to look for it while I'm telling you.
I forgot why I don't do these podcasts for.
Don't get me wrong, it is. What time is it? Oh, it's quarter to 7? Quarter to 8?
No, quarter to 7, yeah.
Aye. Well, Paul, this is the time when you start to get sleepy, like, so.
It is the tablet's time. And it's a bank holiday.
Not yet.
No,
bank holiday weekend.
It is for me. It's still out, yeah.
Seeing this guy coming in here, that is some fucking big ass fucking, like...
Cyborg.
Aye, it's just really good custom stuff.
Cheaper. It does really good effects, like, isn't it? It won't be all CGI now, would it?
You're
no soul left in films.
Can
I just say, I don't know why, but you know, the stormtrooper guys, you know, like the jail, the prison people, and their suits, always remind me of either Star Wars or Masters of the Universe. You know, because of the suits that they wear.
I was going to say that earlier on. A lot of them look like Death Troopers.
Man, Masters of the Universe is one would have to put on, but I would have to watch that in VHS because I had it on. Because that's another one that I've only ever seen on Snapbox DVD, and then I lost the disc and not being able to see it. It's quite hard to come by, but that's another one that if it was brought out with a steelbook, it would still probably sell. But again, it's just not available. Do you know what I mean?
No, there's in Germany. There is a steelbook for Masters of the Universe. Don't think it's in German, isn't it? Yeah.
But it's got English. It's English sound anyway. English language.
Yeah. Because it's just European, isn't it? So.
Yeah. It's always on Now TV or Sky.
Oh, I don't have Sky these days. It's fucking too expensive.
And Now TV. Cheaper.
Hallelujah. Let me cut him, Paul.
The cyborg just looks like a zombie Captain America.
Again, though, like the kind of backstory, like there's people living in there, like living out there. I bet they took that headbutt out for age rating.
Probably,
I think I did actually. No, I should have actually. In the UK. Oh, I think I read it this afternoon. when I was doing checks on this.
And just for the record, Paul, just for the record, I finally did it. You're thinking of Scott Wilson, was in The Walking Dead. He's actually uncredited as Par Angel. You were actually right, which I did say you were, but I just want to...
No, I don't know
out there.
anyone.
It's already out there. But I didn't realise he'd actually passed away.
No, don't get us started. This is not going to be like Die Hard again, is it? Like, oh yeah, he's dead.
He did. Well, I'm sorry, boy, but there's a sign when you know you're getting old, when a lot of actors who you actually start thinking, shit, grew up with that person and dead.
I like, to be honest with you, like, even when, we've talked about this before, like, but like, even though I'm probably older now than Stallone was then, I still look at Stallone being older than me, if you know what I mean. Even though, you know...
Yeah, it is, Mason. Stallone looks better than you then than he does now.
Right. I haven't got the money for hair implants, alright? And he's got that Italian heritage where his hair is going to be perfect. But...
I'm not talking about the hair.
Fucking hell. Giving us grief.
Well, on that note, we'll say, what is the best tagline? There was actually only 3 for this film. We have the first one, which is one man is judge, jury, and executioner.
Judge, jury again.
Jury. We'll start again. One man is judge, jury, and executioner. The other one is one man is the law. And then I think that might be my favourite one is in the future, one man is the law. It kind of, I don't know, kind of had a little bit to it, whereas the other two just seem to be like, nah.
Kind of bad taglines, like.
They're not great, but 90s, it was hit and miss for taglines. Sometimes they were genius, sometimes they were just like, nah.
I mean,
you don't get taglines anymore now, do you?
Not really. All you get is quotes. Well, no, the part here is like, when there is a crime in society, there is no justice.
Yep.
How big are those guns? They're massive. They're like action figure guns.
I mean, everyone's just turned up at the same place. Do you know what I mean? I mean, how big's that? Oh yeah, just this fucking small world syndrome.
Yeah. Would you count this as a cult film? I think I would.
I mean, we're getting to the point now where there can be 90s cult, definitely, because obviously at the time, 90s get a lot of grief coming out of the 80s into like how groundbreaking Jurassic Park was. It definitely changed the game. So you get films in the mid 90s where they're trying to get on the bandwagon of like, we can do this now. We got CGI, but like, not everyone's able to do great CGI. So some films have really suffered for being not waiting for their moment. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, as it comes to the 90s, I mean, what other big films did Stallone do in the 90s? Because this will be one of his biggest.
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger.
Dredd, Demolition Man.
Demolition Man and Cliffhanger, I would put right at the top. And then
Hammer and Cash, is that 80s or is that 90s?
That was the last film of the 80s.
Ah, right, okay.
That's one of my favourites. That.
And here we go. Why is this photo fake?
You're a wee bit ahead of me again.
I don't know, because I mean, you've got Copland. It's a good film.
Get Carter, didn't he?
Get Carter with 2000.
He did Avenging Angelo. That was around that time. He did Assassins, Specialist.
Let's not forget Ants.
Daylight.
Daylight, yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned that.
Now that, just before I do anything else, that was an interesting effect to use. So obviously when he electrocuted the zombie-looking dude, they did quite a unique camera effect there, didn't they? Where kind of the whole thing, it wasn't like a shitty cam. It was almost like a vibration. It looked a bit weird but you never see that.
I noticed that, yeah. It's kind of like the film was like looping kind of thing.
Yeah. Like, with the whole screen rather than being him being electrocuted, which I think is probably why people don't do it. But, yeah.
This is like this photo thing here. It's like an app you can get now, isn't it? So that's kind of futuristic.
Just wipe people out of a photograph, yeah.
Yeah. Or add people into photographs. You know, when two people are sitting on there.
Yeah, it was funny. That was funny as the fuck the other night with you guys. Like, I was watching Beyond the Stars with Christian Slater, right? And when I started the movie, I just got back in from playing pool, so I was half cut anyway. And I put it on. I was like, right, I'm doing some editing. I was trying to follow the story, and it was just some really bad, cheesy, like I'm an astronaut in space, look like an astronaut in space kind of crap. And the photo of them sitting looking at the bench, obviously me and Britta just took a picture recently, and Britta just uploaded on Facebook, and I was looking at that picture, then looking up the screen, I was like, fuck me, look at this, it's exactly the same thing. I was like, someone put Martin Sheen in this photo, and then Carl comes along and adds a fucking Loch Ness. I was like, there we go.
But yeah, I mean, it's you looking at a lake, so it's like, well, there's got to be a Loch Ness in it. What's the point? If anything, I was going to stick Jaws in as well, but I thought, nah, stick to Lucky.
I thought it was a Forrest Gump photograph or something.
Fuckers.
Who took a photograph? The dog?
No.
He teaching him how to use a camera. It was.
It's called a tripod and a timer.
See, now I just imagine you pressing the button and running around really quickly and then making it look all natural.
A lot of lightning going on here. With his dungarees on.
Having a heart-and-heart talk with
I have a brother.
Max Banzau.
I don't know, I would Charlie Sheen.
I would have
I'm looking at some like backs and everything just to see if there's any I've made a few notes earlier, but it's like some of it's just fucking silly though.
Hang on.
In the comics, the judge's boots and elbow pads and knee pads are green in the comic. In the film, they're black. I was like, get over yourself, man.
They did cut stuff out, didn't they? In the UK version. I'm sure I read that.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm sure it was like the headbutt scene or something like that.
Yeah, you can just tell that headbutt scene because it's it's not a bad edit, but it's an obvious edit. I've just got put another one out here for who could have played the baddie in this, and like Jason Patrick, because at the time Jason Patrick was like had this big comeback where he was in loads of films, but like he's a big, bulked up, really big in Speed 2. And I thought he could have turned in quite a good performance because he's got that like that curly hair kind of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Why not just do what they do in Double Team? Just have Stallone fighting himself. Then pay them twice as much.
One wears the helmet, one doesn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Sorted.
Has Kurt Russell ever done a bad guy? Don't think he has he?
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
I suppose, yeah.
Well, yeah,
He was a bad guy, but he wasn't really like an he came off as an evil, over-the-top character, but I'm thinking, would you put him...
Oh, we lost somebody.
Paul's reconnecting again.
Deathproof?
Would you put him in a role like this as a bad guy? Do you think that's too big of a ballsy move?
He was doing stuff like this, like Soldier.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He has that kind of intimidating dark look. But I don't know if he's too much of a hero. Like he's
Hello. Technical issues here. It's just me at the moment.
yeah.
Oh, we've got a call. It's Paul.
It's Paul Ray, but he's come back, I think.
The chick who's on here right now, she is from Twin Peaks fame as well.
You know, we haven't mentioned yet X-Files.
Well, I was going to jump in before when you were talking about Robert Patrick and go, he was in the X-Files.
I was talking about Robert Patrick. Thank God.
T2, someone said Robert Patrick, T2.
You did.
I did, yeah, you're right.
Which we didn't mention that. We were talking about Robert Patrick being in the sequel, where he was also in the sequel to From Dusk Till Dawn, which was a weird sequel.
It's like when
Never seen the first one.
It's like Robert Patrick turns up in Terminator Genesis as a cameo. Unless you pause it, you don't realise it's fucking him.
Yeah.
Wasted cameo.
The best cameo is Last Action Hero.
Aye. I see that bike just crashed into the other bike.
Nah, they're still talking.
Still talking.
Well, let us know when the robots are stood up in the street.
Still in the back.
Okay, so we're still having a conversation with the lady.
With Lady Matrix.
And now they're on the streets on the motorbike. Poorly designed, like, those motorbikes are not good for movability, like.
Well, they're just a little cover that fits over, isn't it? It's not like... You can tell they're very plasticky.
Ooh, big explosion. And a real explosion, I might say that as well. That's always nice to see. We know how Mason doesn't like a CGI fire.
Oh, I know. CGI fire is not good.
Oh, that was nice. I mean, it's not a nice thing to see, but it was a good effect there.
It happens to me when Mason puts stuff in my locker at work.
And the robot just stood up in the street, Mason.
Radio.
Yeah, he slapped someone.
We're outside now. Has he got a binocular effect? State-of-the-art binocular effect. There's in the document, in the making of, it shows you Rob Schneider. It must be later on where they're outside. He actually falls and goes face first into the floor. Like, it's pretty brutal. Like,
like an outtake, isn't it?
Yeah, he had some pretty bad falls, but he talks about like running away from the firewalls and stuff.
That was one of the things that came up on the facts. It was like he apparently gets pretty banged up in this film. Like,
I like Rob Schneider. He was good, and he did Hot Chick, and it was terrible.
I don't dislike him, right? But I don't have to like. A lot of it is just side stuff, just a little character pops up here and there. Like say in Sandler films and stuff like that. Yeah, I've never seen someone who could actually do a film. But with it, when he was the Gigolo, I remember I think in fact that might be the only film I've watched from start to finish with him, and it was just like, nah.
Just Bigelow.
Yeah, just Bigelow.
They made 2 films of that.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, he got a sequel. Yeah.
He's in quite a lot. He's in like Home Alone 2, Down Periscope, Demolition Man, and this. So at this point, he was, you know what I mean. He was a household name.
I remember the South Park episode. Rob Schneider is the carrot and the stapler.
You'll always be there. You can do it, guy.
You can do it, little Nicky.
Yeah.
In Little Nicky though, it's like rip his fucking head off. It gets violent. Little Nicky doing it.
The Big Daddy also.
Waterboy's when it's originally from though, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's all in that same timeline, isn't it?
Because he's even in The Longest Yard, isn't he? He's the prisoner at The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
Isn't it called The Sandlerverse?
The Sandlerverse.
I just made it up. That's copyright.
I was thinking the other day, it's kind of weird because like Adam Sandler never really worked again with Brendan Fraser after Airheads. I know Steve Buscemi and him met on that and been in loads, but it was just weird.
I'd love to see them do a short today, though. Just like a short couple of minute videos on like do something on YouTube or something like that. It'd be quite funny.
YouTube? What's this kind of entertainment for free? YouTube?
Not if you pay for premium, son. Get rid of that bitch.
I did that once for Cobra Kai, then I cancelled it within 7 days. So, because I watched Cobra Kai like 3 years ago before you youngins watched it and became cool.
Are you kidding me? I saw it before you dope.
No, I think I've seen it before anyone else.
Well,
No.
Paul was.
Well, I mean, you might have, but I definitely saw it within the year that it got released.
Oh, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It was
I was
definitely
telling
like
everyone about it.
Yeah.
This is
And
like
now everyone's
Aliens.
doing
This
so much
Aliens
now, it's like,
corridors. Now, do you think there's any truth in the fact that this is a leftover set from Aliens 3?
I
No,
believe
because
it
there's no
if you
such
told
thing
us.
as...
No, I'm
there's
saying
no called
it's
Aliens free.
Alien 3 then. Do you know what I mean? Because it's kind of like it just looks like it'd just be an overused corridor that what I had left over.
Oh, I mean, I guarantee it's been used several times in different things, but absolutely too much of a thing. That's why I loved it. Like, people used to use all sorts of, like, the money that they put into it. You couldn't just use it once. That old classic running away from the fire.
Doesn't look very good when they come out. Like,
I don't know. It doesn't look great, but I'm not hating it. Although I do think I'm still alive at this point, though, guys. I have been thinking about it as we're watching. I reckon I could have made that run. So yeah, I don't think I would have stood there screaming like he did. I would have been pegging it like so.
so you think you would have survived Dream a Little Dream then, do you, Carl? Because you didn't do that for that.
No, I didn't do that. Well, I think I died internally when I watched that, mate. So I didn't feel like
Shut up, man.
I didn't quite.
It's not this.
I think I just
It's not.
gave up on life.
As a fan, it's a grower, and for years I was like, this film is fucking weird, but I just love, if you watch it again just for the music, I listen to the soundtrack straight away and I was like, this fucking soundtrack's mint.
I'll give you that, but it's got more holes than a fucking sponge when it comes to that plot. It just doesn't make sense, and they don't know what they're doing. It seemed like every other scene just being made up on the spot. I still don't know where that old bloke disappeared to when they bumped into each other.
I love this bit where he knocks the judge out and gets his claws, and then he goes, "What? Hey, what are you doing?"
We haven't got time for this. It's good though that he's managed to knock the judge out, who actually has the matching shoulder pads to what Dredd had. You know, because one's an eagle, where everyone else just seems to be wearing like the caterpillars on both shoulders.
Yeah.
That always happens, doesn't it? They knock someone out and it fits them perfectly. Riz of Lost Ark, where he knocks a guy out, and the Nazi guy, and it's submarine, but it doesn't fit him well.
Yeah, I tell you what, going back to Rat Race, when John Lovitz and his family nicked Hitler's car, and then end up with the painted crashes on them, and you think, fucking hell.
That is a touchy scene today. I think that might have to be edited these days. When he burnt his lip and he starts shouting, throwing his hands around. Yep.
It just keeps on going, doesn't it? You think, oh.
Aye, because it's after the Barbie Museum, and they find out it's like a proper, what was it, like a proper...
It's a Nazi...
Mexican heads.
Yeah.
Aye, Neo-Nazi, yes. Fantastic.
I know, Rico's dressed to go like on a night out, isn't he? This is all suit and stuff. Hair brushed. Just kills all the judges.
I mean, like, he just shot himself in the arm and it's just like, wait, the specific gun, Stallone doesn't have that gun. Do you know what I mean? There's it's just a movie, I know, but...
Well, this is it, but my brain's still focused on the fact that it was such a stupid reason to take off the helmet. See, I believe the beginning bit just seemed to be more natural.
This must be
again, because you come towards the end, and the fact that guy just grabbed his helmet off his head, there was no need for that, so that's just a way of saying, how are we going to lose the helmet, but, make it look like it's natural.
Activate. Oh, it's going to work, though. Malfunction.
Yeah, he's got a complete different gun, you're right, Mason, compared to Rico's one. So that's evidence again, isn't it? I mean, that he's being framed.
I mean, this is where they would have spent quite a bit of money.
Yeah, but I wonder if he actually did that stunt where he did that really over the top jump over 5 steps.
It's just if you were flying around and there was no designated lanes, how the fuck would you not crash into someone on the corner? Do you know what I mean? It's the same in like.
It's not like a test one. Not just like a test.
But it's kind of like going back to like they definitely thought in the mid-90s we'd be flying around very earlier than we are because of obviously Fifth Element as well.
Yeah.
I didn't see a few cars flying around the streets sometimes.
Do you know where they've really fallen here? There's no wind at all on their hair on that bike. The fucking hair is just fucking stuck.
There's no wind in the future, man.
Still looks good though, like the police chase is like, well.
Oh yeah,
the concepts don't.
The light.
The models do.
But there's also an age thing, because going back to what I said earlier about, like, obviously we just watched things back in the 90s, we didn't really care too much about the actual effects of how they did it. But at the same time, imagine him being like an early teens kid watching this. It just looks cool, you know what I mean? It's just like flying around in a hover car and being
another thing going back to this though is the 90s where I probably would have just been old enough to see this at the pictures, but you've got to remember, it isn't it the fact that it was at the pictures and everyone could go and see it. It was also the fact that it would come out in VHS to rent first, so you would have to rent it to watch it. Then 6 months later, you would be able to buy it. So, like, films talked about longevity. It was sort of kind of like a year event. Do you know what I mean? Oh, have you seen Judge Dredd? Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just like you couldn't buy it straight away. And I think that's something that it's now everyone's like, oh yeah, I bought it, came out straight away. Do you want to lend it? Or do you know what I mean? It's a different culture now, especially with not being able to rent stuff.
These days it's out in a week's time.
Yeah.
It's out the same day.
I would have to admit, boys, I was only 9 years old when this came out. I was just a wee bairn. So this would have been definitely a global video purchase if I did see it. Which I don't think, I think I must have seen it much later on after the VHS release.
Was this 1985?
1985, aye.
I was 12, so I'll probably be able to sneak in to see it. Definitely a concert pictures, that's for sure.
Yeah, concert theatre, yeah.
I remember seeing, honestly...
Oh, were you like 25?
Shut up, man. I seen Face Off. Was that 97? I seen that at the pictures. That's an 80.
I was 14. I was a year younger than I should have seen this.
But you know what it is? It wasn't that bad to see like older films, because back in the day, you literally. I mean, I've seen a couple of films with my cousin who's like a little bit older than me, and it was just easy to go to the counter, buy 2 tickets, and that was it. You know what I mean? You didn't have to worry about like sneaking in anywhere half the time. They just looked at it and go 2 tickets, didn't care about who the 2 were.
Like I said, my mum was put like Columbia House, or what do you call it over here, and you had to buy like 12 films in a year, but you get like 5 for free. And RoboCop 2 was one of them. I used to watch it like every day. I was only like 9. Desensitized. And Lethal Weapon. I was watching Lethal Weapon when I was 9 also.
RoboCop 2 is one of the like violentest films ever made. It's like Predator 2. Like they could exist in the same world then, because like they were just super fucking violent.
I mean, I could definitely see 209 popping up in this like.
But just like I said, it was like all the BBFC stuff, blah blah blah. But then it was Britannia. That's it. My mum had Britannia. Where that's it. Yeah, you got 5 films free, but you had to buy 12 for the year, as 120 quid or something stupid like that. So you got like 5 films for free. And Ghostbusters. It was Transformers the movie, because it was Easter present. It was Lethal Weapon, RoboCop 2. What was the last one? Was it Batman Returns? It was one. It was something else. But yeah, that was my days. And then obviously I used to go to Fast View Video, which was a mom and papa video shop, and they used to just service all the time with everything.
A lot of the things that I shouldn't have seen were actually from the Video Man. When he had his, I think we mentioned it before on the podcast, but when he used to come around the streets and have all these VHSs in the back of his car.
My granddad did that for a while.
Yeah.
Blu-ray. Like Peter Kay. Blu-ray was a guy who sold adult stuff in the back of his car.
Yeah. Oh, you got all sorts in the back of the car.
It's a different world now, like lads. We're like fossils now.
But don't get me wrong. I think like it is and it isn't though, because I reckon kids know way more than what we did because of the internet.
Oh yeah.
No, like I said, not to make it too adult, but remember when you kind of had to learn most of what you know in a dirty magazine. Whereas now, fuck me, if you go on it, you can find some dark shit.
Let's just go back to like Mortal Kombat. If you didn't get the fucking Special Games Master magazine a month before, or 2 months before Mortal Kombat 3 came out, you didn't know what the fucking fatalities were. They weren't in the fucking manual. Do you know what I mean? But now it's just like, oh yeah, this is how you get the Easter egg, and this is the fatality, and you think, aye.
Yeah, I still remember playing Mortal Kombat 2 at my friend's house. We spent all night just doing the finishing moves, the fatalities. Like, I'll do it now, real quick, get a book ready, get the moves ready, and then you do moves with like 10 cents. And when you did the move, it was like the best thing in the world.
This is a fucking brutal
it was like the internal rage of doing all the different combinations, and then all it was a little kick to the shins. Think, you get it. But then there was loads though, wasn't it? Like there was Babality, where it turned them to babies. There was then the friendship one. Like I think a lot of people, even now, probably only really knew what it was either fatality or there'd be animality. Whereas I think like most people don't realise it's like
friendship.
10, 20
friendship.
That was the second one, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Oh, I spent a day in the arcades when we used to. Yeah, I never went abroad when I was a kid. We always ended up going to like Butlands and Caravan Park. So like we always found the arcades, and it was always stuff like Mortal Kombat, and that we spend a small fortune.
I used to go to Claydon Street Arcade. It was awesome. I used to bunk off at school. Go to the arcades.
Bunking off school. That explains it.
Like naughty boy, me man.
You're degenerate. Don't think I ever did, like, on my own. I did a few times when I went to hospital, and my mum would be like, you've missed half a day, do you just want the rest of the day off? And I was like, yeah. I remember one time a kid where I bumped off school a lot.
I didn't do it often, I just, towards like the end of the school I did. I remember one time I put Independence Day on VHS from HMV in Northumberland Street. My mum goes, tell you what, have a day off, go and get your VHS. Obviously the widescreen version. Of course, 3D, with a 3D lenticular on the front cover where the house was exploding. That's all I remember that. $14.99 it was an extra quid for the widescreen version. I mean, it was
worth every penny, don't it?
Oh,
it was, but on not a 12-inch TV, it wasn't.
I have the right equipment, like.
It was like watching Judge Dredd on Mason's little TV on DVD. Anyway, Judge Dredd, yeah.
I was going to say the chick she's been choked up by a robot.
This is the first podcast we've done in a while, so I was expecting it to get a bit loose on it, like.
Yeah, for us, films, about films, so that's alright.
Well, that's it. It's like this. I mean, you get like a nostalgia pop, like it go because there wasn't like they didn't. What I think what they didn't do with Judge Dredd is like what they probably did with Last Action Hero a couple of years prior. It's like there was toys and toys and toys. I don't remember seeing like Judge Dredd being so marketing, like taking over. I don't remember McDonald's kind of not saying the McDonald's toys, but even when they were doing McDonald's like limited edition cups and stuff like that. I don't remember Judge Dredd having much like publicity or toys about it. Yeah, merchandise. That's the word I'm looking for. This is creepy as fuck with their eyes.
Not like Batman Returns, McDonald's.
Yeah.
Get your penguin cup.
Hey, McDonald's were legend when it came to toys, like back in the day.
Yeah.
The
Now it's
creepy
all
white
like
people.
environment friendly.
It's our books and education now.
You actually see how small Stallone is here, standing next to him. Creepy as fuck. The white guys with their eyes open and sitting up and all that.
Right. So yeah, the movie, I'm just doing a little bit quick search there. The movie didn't get any at all, really, but in 1999, there was a big surge of basically the 2000 AD Judge Dredd line of figures, which most of them today, still in package, are going for about £40 on eBay. But yeah, there seemed to be quite a lot, but then nothing like really based on the movie. It just seemed to be very much capitalising on the comics.
I remember.
Just makes sense.
Well, I remember
Like
playing.
Maniacs.
What, Paul?
Like the McFarlane Maniacs was popular, like in the early 2000s.
Movie Maniacs, I had all of them.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. We keep talking about them. I had the Evil Dead one. Oh man, I loved them. They were full apart straight away, like I just came in a packaging.
There was a say about the 2000 AD stuff is I remember playing Rogue Trooper, the video game where you're the blue combat soldier and then you pick up all your friends and one becomes the game and one's your helmet sights.
Yeah.
And obviously I didn't realise at the time it's actually 2000 AD and that's actually been remastered on the PlayStation 4. I've actually I've traded it on, I played it and had a bit of nostalgia, but like for back in the day it was quite a joyful game. And they did try a few Judge Dredds, but you know what I mean? It just doesn't seem to catch fire. Like Dredd, the remake, I guess, like going back to, I think what happened with Dredd was people talked about it, but a lot of people seen the Raid, and obviously the Raid and Dredd are very similar films, and yes, Dredd was made before the Raid, but like it's kind of like it doesn't see it gets traction, but then doesn't seem to get in the second gear as a franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, two completely different films on the Judge Dredd and Dredd, but I think Carl Urban was awesome. I think, to be honest, I do watch Dredd at least once a year. To be honest, I do actually like Dredd. It really is a really good film. It stands up really well.
Big phantom cameras. Big phantom cameras. And they take all them shots per second for the super slow motion. And
oh yeah, super slow one. It kind of dates it, doesn't it? Like when Jackass 3D did the same thing with the 3D cameras. I mean, in the slow motion, kind of dates it a little bit. Like, but obviously, because Dredd was converted, wasn't it? Yeah, it was converted in 3D, and like I said, that's the reason why it didn't do too well because 3D was still a new format. That's only Blu-ray can get is a 2D and the 3D.
Yeah. They went really. Yeah, that was it. Didn't double it there. It got a Blu-ray release and that was it. Them white guys are turning up and creepy as fuck, like.
Rob Snyder's pulling some wires out now, like.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, hang on. I'll pause for a couple of minutes because.
I do find it quite funny throughout the whole film. Like the robot, obviously, is quite. It's got a bit of threat to it, like. But he just it looks funny because it looks like he just bitch slaps people. So he's got that slow motion, which is really good because he is supposed to be like a heavy machinery. But every time he hits someone, it looks like more like a bitch slap. It just makes us chuckle every time.
Best bitch slap ever is the Predator, the backhand from hell.
It does look like Rico's going out on the night out, doesn't it? Everything's or his t-shirt, his pants tucked in. He's got some aftershave on, hair's brushed. It looks like he's going out for a time.
He definitely got Brute on, like.
Brute.
Brute,
the official sponsor of Judge Dredd.
And I tell you what, though, after wear Brute to this day, lush.
I would buy some if I've seen some. I've got B&M in the next few days. My favourite shop at the moment.
So I've just found out, based on some information here, I now can tell you why Judge Dredd did not land very well at the cinemas. It's actually quite obvious when you notice it, but it came up against some heavy hitters on the weekend.
Oh, what was out?
So what came out, I only have the one at the moment. I'm in the middle of going through it, but the one film it opened at the same weekend on is the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie. And obviously, I actually remember that more than I remembered this, so that just goes to tell you that, you know, Ivan Ooze was a great villain. You know, this is lacking a villain. Ivan Ooze was perfect.
Dredd versus Ooze.
But again, you look at all that and you go, right, I mean, I remember seeing everything for the Power Rangers and it was heavy, you know what I mean? So, again, you would change the date with stuff like that. I mean, they can kind of go, oh yeah, the kids are going to see that, they're not going to go and see Judge Dredd, but it's two things. It's very similar. They're both based on a franchise.
Is there something wrong with Earth's gravitational pull or something in the 90s?
Why?
Because it keeps them it's heavy all the time. Back to the Future anyway. Never mind.
I think, well, no, you know what it is though, Paul? I think it's because of Mason's connection with his American friend, because he has he's not said it now, but he has been using the term bitching quite a lot lately.
Oh, God,
and I'm starting to think him and his American friend are starting to influence his language.
Definitely.
So, Mason, you've gone quiet.
Well, you know, I mean, what do you want? My American friends, my world friends.
You know,
I haven't seen.
We assumed that we were the only friends you had.
Oh, you're the only friends I have, man. You're the only podcasters.
Well, that's more important, doing it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a rundown of the movie releases of 1995. We have Roy. We have Funny Bones. Let's go for some more popular one. Sense and Sensibility, if you're into that kind of oldie day stuff. Pocahontas. Showgirls. You know, we finally got that last from Saved by the Bell, get her knockers out.
Showgirls when she gets humped in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
So we'll get them heavy hitters. So the heavy hitters of 95 was Braveheart. We have Batman Forever, of course. We've got Heat, 12 Monkeys, Babe.
I love 12 Monkeys.
Sandra Bullock was doing a film called The Net, hence why she obviously couldn't come here. Waterworld.
Never seen it.
Never seen it, no. Never heard of it, actually. Bad Boys.
Die Hard with a Vengeance?
Die Hard with a Vengeance, yes. Free Willy 2. Big hitter.
Batman Forever?
Then we got Mortal Kombat. Crimson Tide. Did you make a reference to that in the last film, Mason?
It's one of the old guy in
the
old guys in Crimson Tide, aren't
they? Yeah. Dangerous Minds, Congo, Casper.
Congo's a film that's been like. Congo was not a bad movie, but it's another film that's lost like the era of VHS, like.
Oh,
Shirley Hudson was in that, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ace Ventura. When now here's an interesting one. I don't know if you would have seen this, but I think Mason, this might sound like yours. Have you ever seen 4 Rooms?
Yes, Quentin Tarantino and Robert.
Quentin Tarantino. There's like short films that was released this year. So we've got some pretty decent films out there, but like nothing major.
Some good ones there. Die Hard with Vengeance, man.
Seven. Awesome. Seven was a good one.
Brilliant film.
Oh, Clueless, don't forget.
I really see Clueless. I mean, look at the effort they made for Clueless like a few months back when they brought the big box edition out and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They're really...
Yeah.
They got because of the 25th anniversary or whatever they were going for, I think it says on the box, like, but like... I mean, the end credits have just hit here and it's straight black and it's flying up there. It's like, get us out of here, do you know what I mean?
But that is like, to me, this is where that's losing the point of that, because that looked horrendous when everyone was cheering him on when he drove off. That looked, I didn't like that. That's
now it goes to Mason's widescreen now. If you're watching, it's like it goes like to like a widescreen shot.
And now we have credits.
Well, Paul, you're back. So, how many is it going to be out of?
How many I Am the Laws?
let's say out of 10, I think it would be a fair assessment. I don't know. If it wasn't called Judge Dredd, I'd probably give it like for the time, I would give it like a 6 or a 7 out of 10 I Am the Laws. But because of this Judge Dredd, I've got to say that when you're picking up a big like story like this that is well known within the comic industry, and it's got a lot of stuff that it really cut out of the comics, it tried to take up, like, I feel like it took advantage of the name but didn't give credit to the actual nature of the comic. So I'm going to go with a straight 5 out of 10 out of Laws. I think it was a decent film. Had it not been called Judge Dredd, I feel like it would have been received a lot better. But because of the Judge Dredd, I can't take that away from it. So I will say 5 I Am the Laws out of 10 for me.
Yeah, that's really good, that, like.
What about you, Mason?
I'll go a little bit lower. I'll just say 4 out of 10 because, I mean, don't get us wrong, I like the music, I like the nostalgia I've got for it. I agree. I don't think the story's not got a lot going for it. It is a Stallone marketed movie. You know what I mean? It might as well be called Stallone's Judge Dredd. I think that's, you know, especially how much I've seen in that Future Shock documentary about how much is going on with the world it's meant to be. I don't think the world that 2000 AD set up for this is showcased good enough in this, because it's all very, very punk-like. It's all meant to be like very, you know what I mean? There's not a lot of swearing in this. If it was an 18, but it's not what they were going for. The CGI's held up really well. I think the costume design for the creatures and the, you know, again, it screams Pinewood, so I like that nostalgia, and I'll just never forget seeing Stallone at the pictures and the quad. But again, if it was a John Spartan like prequel story, it might have worked. You know, that might have worked in a way, or it could, in a way, it could be a sequel to Demolition Man because of Rob Schneider being in it there. You know what I mean? It could be like a John Spartan one in the future. That might have worked, but again, slap Judge Dredd on it and go, hang on a minute, what's this? And so 4 out of 10, as I say, it's not bad. It's been lost to time, and it does deserve to have a reissue. But when I've noticed there as well, it's Patinir, and Patinir are totally notorious for reissue and discontinuing the stuff. Look how many times recently Dog Soldiers has been discontinued and reissued, and then they've really struggled to get it onto a different supplier for Blu-ray. So yeah, 4 out of 10 for me. 4 out of 10. I am Lulu. That one.
I love this film. It's so cheesy.
I knew you would say that.
I give it a go 7 I Am the Laws, just because I've always enjoyed it. I mean, I do love the Collar Urban Dredd, completely different stance on it, but I do like this film. It's proper cheese, but yeah, I give it a go 7 I Am the Laws.
I think we've averaged out quite well there. I think we're all in an agreement, but slightly off with each other. I think I quite like that.
Wow.
Because remember, folks, not everyone has to agree, and just because you don't doesn't mean the other person's wrong. Just a little disclaimer for everyone who decides to think that their opinion is everything on the internet.
Well,
I'm sorry about that, Colin.
This has been a great podcast, a reuniting with the lads. It's been Judge Dredd. Our plan is preferably the Jaws franchise as well as Waterworld at some point. We are trying to get a few in. And Evil Dead, yes, I know, Paul. And as I say, now that we're back on track, we'll try and get some, even if it's with Paul or Carl, or I'll even try and get a few solo ones done. But for now, I've been Stephen Monkey Mason. I've been joined by Paul Ray and Carl McSorley for It's Just a Podcast. Goodbye, guys. Thanks for listening, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.